You were too busy making babies in high school. That's what you were
gonna
doing.
say that. I think it's something that you've been struggling with for a long time.
Business-wise, emotionally, it's been a roller coaster. And that's why I want to talk about using drugs. Life gets hard sometimes, and, it's really easy to look for alternatives, to feel better.
Right.
Welcome to the podcast, guys, and let's talk about using drugs.
Oh, my. What a touchy subject.
What a touchy subject. What a way to start the show, man. Woo. All right, guys, welcome to the podcast. Shoot every day. I'm Giovanni.
And I'm Oyuki.
And that's Oyuki. Miss Hola Bonita Oyuki.
Mr. Meslar.
All right. Mr. Shoot every day.
Mr. Shoot every day.
All right, guys. Welcome to the podcast. Like I said today, man, been a hell of a week. Been a hell of a month. Been a hell of a year.
Yeah.
Parker McCollin style. Ain't that his name?
Parker.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Hell of a year. Hell of a year, guys. It's just been so crazy this year. We've been working on so much stuff. So much stuff that we want to bring you guys. But I really feel that, this year was the year of putting everything in perspective, but, putting our ducks in our row, as they say, putting everything in perspective for what's coming in 2025. Yeah. And I hope 2025 is putting perspective for 2026.
Right.
And we keep growing because obviously that is what we want to do. But 2024, man, shit, it's going to be, the holidays already. At the time of this recording, about to be the holidays. About to be Christmas and Thanksgiving, eating some turkey.
Woo. A year engaged.
A year engaged already? It's about to be your engagement anniversary, girl.
Literally.
Wow.
Giovanni laughs at me because I have anniversaries for everything.
Yeah, we have anniversaries for everything. The first time we talked. The first time, did this or did that.
I remember everything and he hates it.
Yeah, she remembers everything. No, but honestly, it's been a whole amazing year. It's been very hard, very stressful, lots of hard work that we've put in, both of us.
Mentally,
physically, business-wise, emotionally, it's been a roller coaster.
Yeah.
And that's why I want to talk about using drugs. I really do. This subject has been, it's a touchy subject on my perspective, my point of view, or however you want to say it. It's just been, life gets hard sometimes, and, it's really easy to look for alternatives, to feel better.
Right. I think it's something that you've been struggling with for a long time.
Yeah.
For sure. And we tried to seek medical help last year, but it's almost like reversed.
Guys, and I'm not talking about, recreational using drugs. I'm not talking about smoking a little bit of weed or, doing some other shit. That's not what we're talking about. That's high school. That was high school. That was all during that time. That's not what we're talking about.
High school.
What?
I didn't do that in high school.
You didn't do what you do in high school. You were too busy making babies in high school. That's what you were doing.
Say that.
That's what you were doing in high school. You were too
terrible.
busy. You were too busy being a mom while I was over here. Anyways, that's not the kind.
We're not going to go there today.
That's a whole nother podcast right there.
Right.
No, guys. It's even hard to say it. Using Adderall. I just spit it out. Using Adderall. And this has been heavy on my mind, heavy on my heart, and it's been for a while. Last year, I did try Adderall last year twice. And I felt really good. I remember the first time that I did it, I took like half a pill. I had a shit ton of work, a whole lot of work, a whole lot of editing work. And I took half a pill, I remember, and I edited for like 12, 14, 15 hours straight. Straight, nonstop.
And I remember how happy you were. You were like, look at what I did. I did this, I did that. And it was just, I mean, I was so proud of you because I was like, wow, I know what that takes. And you were able to get a lot done.
I got a lot done.
So,
and the second time, we actually both did Adderall that day. I remember we had a quinceañera. We had been really busy that whole time. That whole week we were exhausted, we were tired, and we had to work the night of the event. And I remember I had one pill left and I took half and I just threw it in Oyuki's mouth and I was like, here you go. She's like, what is that? I was like, just eat it.
Yeah.
And we had a lot of fun working that event.
We did. And I mean, he literally, I think bit it. You didn't tell me you were doing it. Literally stuck it in my mouth and he's like, here. So I swallowed it at the point and I was like, he's like, is that Adderall? And I was like, okay. So honestly, we weren't late, but we were just kind of like rushing. And so it just fell in the back of my mind, didn't realize it, but I remember how much fun we had that day.
It was fun.
I still get really nervous when I get out there and help you because, mind you, I'm in front of a whole lot of people.
Yeah.
And I just remember that day, it just felt like me and you. We went TikTok live. We did so much that I was just like, oh my God, it was so much fun. And not to say that it's never fun.
Yeah.
It just that day
it felt by.
Like me and you. And I was even sweating.
Yeah.
I was working so hard. I was just walking. I mean, felt like I was running around in circles.
If you're a photographer, you know exactly how that feels, you know, that pressure of, you know, you're going to get the shot or you not. Is the equipment there? Do my batteries charged? Do I got enough memory card? Are the lights in place? Like, and that day was just.
Before we knew it, we were in the car talking about it.
We were like, are we done?
And then
I'm not even tired.
Yeah. And he was like, it was the Adderall, babe. I was like, oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, like I said, but I mean,
you had your encounters.
I had my encounters. Those are the only 2 times, you know, using it. And
that's when we went and saw the doctor.
We went and saw the doctor. And, you know, he kind of told us, you know, it's very highly addictive. It is. It does good.
Right.
But it's very highly addictive. So I have a very highly addictive personality. Right. That's why I'm not on it. That's why I don't even have any other hobbies. Cameras and photos and equipment is like my freaking hobby, and I am super addicted to it.
Right.
I like to buy new gear. I like to look into it. I like to research. I love it. And that's why I don't play video games. Like I know I have a lot of friends that play video games, and I mean anything. I used to work on my truck and stuff, but now like I don't because I know what that could do to me.
And it's crazy because I mean, I know I've told a lot of people this before, but when you want something, you research the crap out of it.
Yeah.
You video it, you watch videos, you read articles, you TikTok it, you YouTube it, you do massive. I've never seen anyone do such research on something they want. It doesn't even have to be a product. It's just him wanting to do something. In this case, Adderall. And
don't tell me to book a hotel.
Oh my gosh, because he will go on the reviews. He'll look it up. And then we end up in a circle because we didn't end up doing anything. Right.
That is me.
He does his research, and it's almost like I always tell him, I feel like you're trying to convince yourself out of it, but you end up convincing yourself into it.
No.
And I think it's cute.
I like to do my research. I don't want like Oyuki will like just go ahead and do it and find out later that's not what she wanted.
Right. I mean, I'm doing it as I go. Like I did that with the podcast, putting it on, the show. I was literally like, okay, I'm going to do this. And I set myself to it. I did not research it. I followed a step by step, and I was like, okay, I have my podcast on there. I am very let's go, because if I sit on it too long, I'm not going to do it, versus you are I need to research. I need to, okay, but so-and-so said that they did this. And before you know it, you end up in circles and you didn't do it. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of where you're at.
Yeah.
In all of that. But I think it's cute because you could tell me, like, okay, well, how did you do it? And I'm like, I mean,
I don't know.
This is how I do it. But you could ask him, okay, well, where did you buy this? And he's like, okay, I got it here and this, and they said this, and then he will have a whole mouthful to tell you and convince you that whatever it is that you're wanting is either good for you or bad for you. And I don't. And so we're very different in how we execute things. But needless to say, I always compliment the fact that you have the mouthful to say. You're very, very educated in how you explain things, because I think it has a lot to do with your research.
Yeah.
Half of the time, you always tell me that you want to know a useless fact. And I'm like, what is it? And then he'll tell me of a useless fact. And I'm like, that's really good. Like, I'd heard something about it, but the way you put it, and I'm like, it's cool. Like, I find it very entertaining, which is why earlier this week, I was like, on my Instagram, and I was like, guys, please go encourage him to start his podcast, because if anyone has really awesome, amazing things to say, it's him.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And I hope you guys feel the same way. Go ahead, go down there and comment, guys, if you think I'm a good storyteller.
Yeah.
So, guys.
But back to our subject.
Before we get any further into this conversation, if you do have any experience on Adderall, to further my research.
If you're a medical professional, we'd love to hear what you have to say.
Use it.
If you're a consumer, we'd love to hear what you have to say, struggles or not.
How you feel with it. What are your thoughts on it? I'd really like to know.
This is Giovanni trying to convince himself.
Yeah, that's what I said, to further my research.
No, but seriously.
Yeah.
It's been something I feel I had a lot to do with you actually finding, or like triggering you to actually get some help, because I saw his struggles and
that's what I hate. It's like, for you to find help.
Yeah.
Like, motherfucker.
I think you hate the fact that you have kind of been sick all your life.
Yeah.
And so finding this out about you is like, oh, one more thing. Like, he has PTSD when it comes to stuff like this.
It's a little background. We're about to get like real personal on this. I was medically mild diagnosed with cancer when I was 17 years old. I went to the doctor. So-and-so happened. They said, you're fine. I came back at 25 years old, and they told me that I had cancer. Well, then they find out. They're like, well, why didn't you tell us before? Doctor lied, said I didn't have cancer, blah, blah, blah. So ever since then, I just feel that I could not ever really trust. Not just doctors, but anybody. You come up to me, hey, you try this out. This will work for you. Nah, motherfucker, unless I did my research, like, I don't believe you. And it just, I don't want to say breaks my heart, but just to know that I had been, like I'm sick again. Because in order for you to be prescribed Adderall, you have a disorder. An ADHD or ADD.
You have to go to a psychiatrist.
You have
got
to
psychological
see
help.
a professional to have it. And I'm like, shit, another thing again. I'm sick again.
Yeah.
And that's the one that's like really that's like holding me back.
But it makes me really sad.
And it makes me sad.
It makes me really sad because, like the last thing I think I ever want to say is that you're sick. But I feel like I'm also sick. I have ADHD and I somehow have either trained or learned from my behavior or my everyday to either turn it off or turn it on. I don't know which one of both, but I can definitely feel like I can somewhat control it, but needless to say, it's always a constant battle in my head. I will literally sit here and you will not hear me, but I'm literally talking to my brain going, what was you saying? What were you saying? What did you have to do? What did you, and it's a constant battle because there's some times where I can't remember. And then I feel defeated because I'm like, I had so much to do and I didn't get it done. And you feel down on yourself.
That's me every day.
Yeah. And it's an ugly feeling. Somehow again, I don't know. I can do a little more. And I know that sometimes it makes you feel really bad because he tells me, he's like, you can, I wish I was like you.
I say it all the time.
He tells me that all the time. And it makes me feel so bad. Because I feel like, for some reason, I mean, we both have really strong faith, but for some reason, when it comes to praying and coming into my faith, I am able to really suppress the urge or that disease.
Yeah.
I can. And I'm not saying God loves me more than you.
I mean, but
I really feel like it helps me. I found a way through my faith to be able to work through it versus you haven't. And that's it's not to say that you're praying wrong or you're not, God doesn't love you, but it's just like
he loves me.
He does. I mean, we both pray together and we both have an amazing faith. But you can't shake it off like I can. I have my battles, but I can say I win them more than I lose them versus you feel defeated every single day because you feel like you could have done more.
All the time.
In your work day.
I literally feel that. And even talking about this, guys, if you're watching this like on the video, it's even hard for me to sit still right now.
Yeah.
Because
it's a touchy subject.
It's like a real touchy subject. But I really want to put this out there because I know I'm not the only one that feels this way. And I know it happens a lot with creators.
Right.
Musicians and all types of creators, musicians, photographers, video guys, stylists, makeup artists,
just entrepreneurs in general.
And oh my God. And especially if you're an entrepreneur, if you have businesses, it's hard. And to my understanding and my research that I did, it says that one way you can control your ADHD is to focus onto something that you love doing. That's going to hold your interest.
Right.
I don't know if you remember like the movie, Fast and the Furious, Part 1, the only good one. There was the little geeky mechanic. He was always shaky and always like moving around and stuff. And he talks in the movie and he says that he had ADHD. And the only thing that slows down his mind and calms him down is like working on cars.
Right.
And I feel the same way when I work.
Right.
When I'm doing photo and video. But the shooting part, the technical part, the setting up cameras, the setting up lights. I mean, when I get hired for a job, and this is something that I've Googled and I cannot find anything. I don't know if I'm wording it right or wording it wrong, but I want to share with you guys what happens to me. And I would really love to know if this happens to you. when I get hired for a job, for example, and they give me creative freedom, they're like, hey, we're going to do this. Like, do your thing. You have this space, come do your thing. So I walk in, I start looking, hey, we need a light over here. We need this light up here. We're going to put this here. We're going to do that. Like, I am so
focused,
relaxed.
And you're able to focus and work.
Like, I completely shut off. Guys, if you're one of my clients and I don't answer your phone call, that's because I'm working. I do not answer my phone. I don't even know where my phone is at. Like, I am like tunnel vision, 100%. But as soon as I'm done, as soon as I'm starting to put up, I go into a complete crash, like a complete downer.
Right.
To the point, like, I'm sad.
Right.
Like, depressed.
Right.
Because I'm like, oh shit, I'm done. Like,
right.
Like that high just totally
Which
went
is
down.
why I feel that one of the things that you work so hard towards is to go upload and start working on it.
Oh my God.
Immediately, because you feel still so inspired by the event.
Yeah.
That you don't want to forget, because if you feel you sit on it too long, you're like not as excited anymore.
I'm not as excited anymore.
And I feel it has to do with it.
Here's another thing. Like, if you're a photographer, like, okay, and here's the stress. We go, we take pictures, we do all of this work, 3, 4, 5. I've been on 12-hour shoots before. And then you still got to go and upload your footage, to upload your footage to your computer. Depending on how long it is, you're talking about 20 minutes to hours.
Right.
Of sitting there on your computer. So what happens there? You go, you're like uploading, and you have to watch your computer so nothing gets lost.
Make sure it doesn't turn off.
Make sure it doesn't turn off. You got to watch it. So you kind of get on your phone and you see an email and you see a text message, or you're like, oh, well, I'm going to work on this. I'm going to clean my camera, or like, and you start getting sidetracked. It's kind of like the video you were talking about that I showed you.
Right.
And I could relate to this so bad. Like, there's a guy that he's like, I'm going to do laundry. So he's like doing laundry and he's like, oh, crap, I need some hangers. So he goes to the laundry room and then he's like, oh, wait, I need to do some laundry. So he starts doing laundry and he's like, oh, I ran out of detergent. He goes through the trash and then he freaking is like, oh, nobody's thrown the trash today. So he goes and throws the trash and all of this happens and he ends up doing nothing.
Right. And that's the crash you get.
That's the crash I get. So I end up like not doing anything until it's like 11 p.m. at night. I'm no longer getting text messages. I'm no longer getting emails. And that's when I can focus.
And that's when you like to work. And sometimes, you're there till 2 or 3 in the morning, which, occasionally it's not bad. But when it becomes an everyday thing, you're not living a normal life.
You're not living a normal
because
life.
Now you've worked. I mean, you get up with me at 6 a.m. to go work out, and then you stayed up till 3. That gives no kind of rest, real rest. And it's crazy because I tell you this all the time. You get the crash versus me. I get the high. Yeah. And I get like when I work on something, I want to go continue working on something. And, I know you tell me this all the time. I wish I was like you, but I'm not. I can't continue to work on things like you do.
Like, it's crazy, guys. Like, Oyuki has ADHD or ADD, whichever one it is, but she can multitask. She really can. She's literally working on her website and her course, literally like on the other side right there. That's working. Man, I'm here. I'm chilling. I'm talking about this podcast, and that's all I want to do.
Right.
I can't. My brain just not, just function that way. And I know I'm not the only one. And I really want to hear, and I really would love to get your feedback and your comments. You can message me on Instagram and tell me your story. I would love to hear it. Because at the end of the day, like we said, this is a medical diagnosis for you to be on this drug legally. Because that's something I don't want to do is abuse it. I want to use it because supposedly I have a disorder.
And I think that that's one of the things that we've talked about. I think that now we've kind of set boundaries.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of drugs, which it's a medical, prescripted drug.
Right.
But we've talked about it, and I tell him, okay, the second that this becomes an actual recreational drug, then that's when I'm going to intervene. Not saying that's going to happen. But he's already told me, and I've, told him, like, as long as you're not abusing this, then I think that you will be fine.
And
because
you mean by drinking.
Right. Drinking or trying to take it at night so that you could stay up. I think that that's when, for me, it becomes an issue because I don't feel like that's...
I'm really not much of a drinker anymore. I'm really not. I mean, I do my occasional. We do have, celebrations but I do like, my beer here and there. I will eat my dinner with beer, like if we go out to a steakhouse or whatever.
Right.
But that is like the scary part.
But I think that if, because if you see it as a actual prescription, like, hey, I can be 100% of myself if I drink this drug the way they tell me to drink it, and you use it purposely.
Yeah.
Then I think you will be fine. Because part of the fact that I feel like I don't feel like you're depressed, but you get in a sad mood when you cannot execute 100% because you feel like you're 25% of yourself.
And let me give you guys some perspective real quick. So I do feel I'm tapping into about 25% of my potential of what I can do. But let me give you guys some perspective on what I currently do. So we have Mess Lab Studio, which last year or prior years, we were working about 40, 45 events a year. I'm not retiring 2025. I'm back.
Woohoo.
But I'm only doing about 15 events for this coming up year because I did want to cut that down because it does take a toll, but it's part of my life and I want to do it. So we have Mess Lab Studio. I still am working in New York. I still do work for Lindsay.
Contracted work.
I am no longer. I did my probation period, so I'm not a contractor. I do some of their editing work. I'm working on some projects right now for her.
You work for me.
I work for Hola Bonita. I do the maintenance, and let's go ahead and throw it in. Thank you. Sponsor time, guys. Thank you to Hola Bonita for having us in this podcast room. Hola Bonita, thank you so much. So I do all the maintenance work. We work on a lot of the upgrading that we're doing. We're doing some, not massive, but some big upgrading here. Rebranding in Hola Bonita Midland. I do all the social media, not all of it, majority of Hola Bonitas.
You film it for sure.
I film a lot of stuff.
And you edit.
And so I do that. I do a lot of social media work for other companies. I do my personal Instagram.
My personal one.
Oyuki's stuff. Oyuki's podcast. Oyuki beat me to having her own podcast. Oyuki is on Apple Music, YouTube podcast. YouTube podcast. We're working on the Spotify.
But I had a goal.
She had a goal to do it. She meets it. I had a goal. I announced I was getting a podcast, I think last year.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken.
I definitely started in July and my goal was my birthday.
Yeah.
But you're doing all of that.
So that's just, in a nutshell.
And that's when I try to tell you, like, forgive yourself for not getting it all done.
I just feel I'm at 25%.
Yeah.
Of my full potential. I know I can do a whole lot more. Like I said, just a little bit of perspective on what we have done. We went to Cancun. We went to Tulum for Oyuki's birthday. We went for 3 days. We completely disconnected.
Well, I mean, I still was connected, but on do not disturb.
Not compared to what we usually do when we do go out of town.
There's a few days I didn't charge my phone, and that was
and
fine.
it was fine, and it was okay, and we had a blast. We ended up staying one extra day.
Yeah.
We had so much fun. I said I was gonna vlog. I got clips here and there. I don't even think I can make a full vlog out of it, just because I would be like, I don't want to. Right. Like I was doing it so we could, capture Oyuki's memories of her birthday, but we were just having so much fun, just relaxing. But we get back. We got back like what, Tuesday, Wednesday?
Wednesday, because I had to work in El Paso.
Yeah. And then we got here Thursday. We worked Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and I clocked in 38 hours.
Why are you clocking?
I'm putting you on blast. We worked 39 hours in 3 freaking days. Ooh. One of the days was 19 hours of
I swear I feel bad asking you sometimes.
And I feel I have more. But it's the lack of focus and then this depression that just like kicks in. And I have nothing to be depressed about, guys. Like absolutely fucking
I think you reassure me that every single time.
Yeah, because she's like, what's wrong? And I'm like, I just don't want to do anything. I just want to sleep today. Yeah. And I have an amazing fiance. Our kids are amazing. Well, kinda. We got, I'm just kidding, guys. We got an awesome dog. Your parents, my parents, I love them. My brother-in-laws and sister-in-laws and my brothers, like we travel so freaking much. We got a house, we got, and I am not boasting by far.
Right.
But I'm thanking God for my blessings. Like,
every single day.
We have a lot. I have absolutely nothing to be depressed about, but I just feel it's some kind of chemical imbalance in my body that because I get on such a high at work and then I stop and then it just drops to the floor.
Yeah. It takes you a few days, I feel like.
It takes me a few days. One of the days, and this always happens.
It doesn't help that your clients are always asking for their
for their stuff. And I believe I'm very quick at
you are very quick, and that's one of the things that I feel now. I get upset sometimes because I'm just like, do people not understand that this takes a while?
It's a process.
It's not just going and pushing a button. And man, does that piss me off when people say, "Oh, you're just pushing a button." It's like, wait, what? Not only am I having to push that button, but I'm having to go home and secure that this footage doesn't go to shit, because it has. You've had those situations where it's mechanical malfunction, technical malfunctions that you have no control.
Yeah.
You have no control of. It's piecing it together because now you have a story to tell. You can't you can't rearrange clips. Half of the time you have to rewatch a lot of this stuff, making sure it sounds, it sounds like something put together. You can't just be like, oh, this goes here. It takes time. So sometimes when people are like, oh, my stuff.
And another thing that people don't understand, like I do have some editors. I do. I'm not going to lie. Like I wish I could do everything myself, but there's direction. I have to send them stuff. I get stuff back, or they're editing with me.
Or stuff didn't download. I'm sitting here waiting for stuff to download onto mine. And I'm like,
just sitting here waiting. And I still have to review it. And I'm like, okay, that's not what we wanted. Send it back. Let's fix this, fix that. Then we're finally happy. Then let's send it to the client. Then the client's like, hey, well, that's not what I wanted. Can we change this? Can we change that?
So in the meantime, you have to deal with all of that negativity, it feels like, because sometimes it feels like negative. If a client's asking you where their stuff is, it's negative.
It's negative.
And you take it negatively and you're like, oh shit, like I have to do this. But then you go back and you check yourself and you're like, wait, it's barely been this long. And so, it is pressure that you deal with.
A lot of pressure.
Constantly.
And I know it's not just as a photographer. I know hairstylists feel
I think every business owner has, something that they could relate to in that. But I mean, today, out of all days, you definitely felt.
Oh man, today was just like I had the cherry on top today. Like we worked so much, as soon as we got back from vacation, it's been nonstop.
Yeah.
And I was turning in some projects and, my client straight up said, they're like, I was supposed to turn in different versions of the video of the same clips because they only wanted to, shoot one day. So there's only so much you can do.
Right.
With those clips.
Yeah.
And she was like,
if you
just
want
rearrange.
different, you need wardrobe change,
location change. And that's going to cost
which
you more.
Which is what Lindsay does.
Yeah.
She does, God. 3 or 4 day video shoots.
And she changes 10 times.
Yeah. I mean, and so anyways, that's perspective.
No.
People don't understand.
That was just my rant.
He wasn't able, it's disappointing when you feel you've disappointed someone, but then you did the best of your ability. And then,
mind you, I'm already on my low because the high, like when I'm shooting, it is, I'm like on cloud 9. I freaking love it.
And I see it.
Yeah.
I see it. I mean, I get that all the time. Some of my clients will, throw their little 2 cents in and they'll say stuff like, oh, I just could never, let
my husband.
Yeah. Let my husband work with all these women. And how do you even keep that like from being okay or not? And I just always tell them like, it's funny because I could see, I could see in the beginning, it went through my mind.
Yeah.
Like you would do birthday shoots all the time with half naked ass women.
But that's the last thing that I see.
And I wouldn't join you. But once I started working with you, I could see how he would just shut off, to where, he's looking at his client.
I'm staring at your face.
And you're that client's probably going, oh, he was just staring at me. But he's really thinking there's a shadow on your face. How can I move the light?
It's making them eyelashes look a little lazy.
Yeah.
That always happens.
There's just so much more focus that goes on in his head that now I know, and I'm glad that I'm able to work with you so that I could see that. Yeah. Because now when we're staring at you, the last thing that we're looking at is, God damn, this girl's fine. Or
ugly.
Damn, her ass has a lot of dimples. Like we're not even looking past. We look way past that. And I say we because now I see it, and now I can turn my mind into like a photographer mind and shut down. Yeah. And versus in the beginning when I was helping you, I'd be like, oh, her outfit was cute, and oh my God, this, and oh my God. Now I help you bring out that outfit and bring out that hair and make it look. And so it's funny because now I'm like, no, guys, like
that's not it.
That's not what's happening.
It's not.
And it's cool that I'm able to see that.
Yeah.
Because it helps our career for sure. Our relationship and our careers.
For sure.
But it's crazy that, to see it happen, to see him turn off,
So kind of on the next thing is, taking this drug. Yes, it is for creators, but I know we have a lot of friends that own businesses and companies and pretty big companies, and they have to take the drug themselves. So it's not just like creators because they have to focus.
Right. Entrepreneurs. And you see this, like, this just talk about like Wolf on Wall Street, for example. Yeah.
It doesn't ever, I don't think it really actually shows like what kind of drugs he does. Well, no, yeah, it does.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, it does. Big time. But
bad ones.
But that's how he functions.
Right.
And he was able to be that person.
Right.
Because of it.
But, at the end, destroyed him.
It destroyed him.
And that goes again into where I tell you, like, that I'm going to be helping. I'm not going to be on your ass going, hey, I think I think you're overdoing this or whatever. But I think that we all have breaking points. And I think that obviously no.
It just, it also brings me to my next example is a person that I have followed and been inspired by for a long time. When I was actually working out like a lot, Christian Guzman, for example, he's the owner of Alpha Elite, one of the biggest gyms in Texas. I would probably say biggest top 10 in the U.S. Excuse me. One of the biggest gyms, and he finally came out. I think he built like his business, like his actual business start, like in 4 years. He took his brand from, I remember watching his video, and he was like closing his small little 1,800 square foot gym. And then he just went at it like super hard in like 4 years. Like he just blew up, hardworking, opened a gym, made a bigger gym. And now this gym is like a gym and a cafeteria and a store. And like there's a boutiques in there. Like it's huge. It's massive. And he still handled making his YouTube, all sorts of stuff. And he finally came out saying he's quitting drugs. And everybody was like, the hell you mean quitting drugs? Immediately, like I thought, oh, this dude was like on some,
drug,
testosterone and all kinds of other bodybuilding stuff. No, he was talking about Adderall. He said that he could not function without it, that he took it. He was addicted. Straight up. And he said that his breaking point was, and this really stuck to me because I don't want to be at this point for sure, that he had dropped a pill in the kitchen one day and it fell under the fridge and he was all out of pills a week later or 2 weeks later. And he found himself like on the floor looking for the pill, moving the refrigerator, like going crazy. And that was his breaking point to say, I'm an addict. But then he also says he wouldn't have been able to build what he built without it.
Right.
And that's where I bring up the point again. Like, I just really feel that I'm at 25% of my potential, that what I can do. Because I could sit down if I really focus and I can knock out, give me an hour, I can knock out so many photo sessions and so many videos out in an hour.
Yeah.
Which it takes me
and
all day long.
I can't wait to check back in and update everyone whether.
I mean, guys.
Because you do have an appointment coming up.
I do have an appointment coming up. I made an appointment to see a doctor and to see what he says. Maybe I'm, incorrectly diagnosing myself.
Right.
But like I said, we went once. They told me, sounds like you need it. I didn't want it because of the addiction side. And he prescribed Ritalin. And that totally didn't. It turned me off to everything. But I feel that I'm to the point in how busy we are. And I want to keep working. But I don't want to feel this way.
Right.
Not at the risk of my health. And
not at the risk of your career, because sometimes it makes you feel like maybe this isn't what you want to do.
Yeah, because that's totally how I feel sometimes. Sometimes I'm like, I'm just ready to call it quits.
And I have to constantly remind him how blessed he is.
I did it last year.
Yeah.
I said I was no longer doing events because I was so overwhelmed with everything, with my life, I didn't want to create anymore.
Right. You were turned off.
I was turned off for sure. Senior season kills me.
Right.
High school senior season.
It's your favorite.
Me. It's my favorite time of the year. Those 3 months, like I go hard.
Right.
Because I try to get as creative with each individual senior every day for almost 3 months. I work six times a week. Sometimes I shoot twice a day.
Right.
And I try to give everybody something different. And that's complete burnout.
Yeah.
I get so burnt out, and it'll last 2 or 3 months. I'm burnt out to where I'm like, I don't want to do anything.
Yeah.
So that happened. And then November came around last year and I was like, I don't even want to do events. I told myself I'd give myself 15 years of doing events and I'm done. And it was so easy for me to call it quits.
Right.
A couple of weeks ago, we finished an event, me and Oyuki, and it's about 12:30, sitting in the truck, put all the equipment up, and I was like, hey babe, like I got like 4 or 5 events left. Like, that's it.
And
like,
I told you, I mean, I think I told you earlier these months, I was like, are you sure?
She said,
he was
like, you're
doing
not
my
quitting.
niece's quinceañera, and, I saw how much he loved it. To the point where I was belligerent. Like, I wasn't even there, it felt like, because you paid no attention to me.
Yeah.
And
that was a fight.
It was not a fight.
It was a disagreement.
But I was like, you said, I mean, he hired someone else to help him, but yet he was still doing it all. And I was like, well, what was the point of you hiring someone if you're still doing it yourself? And that was the disagreement. But I literally put it into his perspective and I was like, babe, I think that you should maybe do less of them and not completely quit them because, and the kids love you too. They were like, oh, mess lab in the house. And I could just see how much he loved it. And I was like, are you sure you want to do this? And I think that's when you kind of started thinking like, wait, I think you might be right. And, you made that decision all on your own.
I did make that decision.
I don't think anyone had to pressure you into doing
nobody
and
twisted
working.
my arm. And I said, I was only going to do 15 in 2025. So I only got a few left.
I know. And he hasn't even announced it coming out of his retirement. And he's booked.
I've been trying to make a video to announce that I'm doing events, but I'm almost full already.
Yeah.
Because my ADHD doesn't let me make that video. So
yeah.
So guys, just kind of closing it out real quick, that I would really love your feedback. And I hope that I'm not the only one that feels this way, or if you feel scared because you feel this way, like I
think you're hoping to find someone to relate to.
Yeah.
Someone that can tell you like, hey bro, like I'm not abusing this, but I've needed it my whole life.
Yeah.
And this is how I'm doing. So if you have any kind of feedback, anything that could kind of just help
I just love to hear your
situation, and not help because like, oh, if he says he's doing it, I'm going to do it. No, like not help in that way. It's like help just to be relatable. I think we all like to be relatable to something in some way.
And that's why I want to put my story out there, because by far, guys, we don't live a perfect life.
No.
And I wish we did. And I know we all go through our struggles and our burdens and everything. And I just want to put that out there.
Yeah.
And if you've been a follower of my YouTube channel, I've been transparent with everything.
Right.
Maybe a little too transparent sometimes, but I just know that
it's what you like.
I feel
you
this
like
way,
the transparency.
Yeah.
You like anyone you follow. You love to see how real they are, and that's why you follow them. And so that's the kind of audience you look for.
Yeah.
So I think you have it.
Thank you guys.
Yeah.
So much.
Thank you so much for
guys. Don't forget to check out
his first
Oyuki's podcast. Don't forget to go and look her up on currently Apple Music
and
YouTube. She'll be on Spotify really, really soon, and BeanPod for sure. That's the homepage.
Podbean.
He
also has dyslexia.
Yeah, I also have dyslexia.
A whole nother subject.
So thank you guys so much for listening to my podcast. Oh, there was a cutoff time.
Yeah.
Right? So thank you, guys.
Thank you so much for always supporting us in everything that we do. And we hope you enjoyed it.
Hope you have a good one. Keep creating, keep working, keep moving past it, keep pushing. We love you guys.